Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to LearnCast. My name is Sara, and today we will be discussing the Spanish present perfect tense. To start off, let's talk about when to use the present perfect tense. So, the present perfect tense is going to be used to say that someone has done something. The easiest way to understand how it is used in Spanish is actually just to think about how it's used in English. So in English, we use the present perfect tense to say things such as he has bought that before, él ha comprado eso antes, I have played this game, he jugado este juego, or they have eaten, or han comido. So now we are going to focus on how you conjugate these verbs in the present perfect tense. So to conjugate these verbs, there are actually two parts. You have to add the conjugated version of haber in front of a conjugated verb. So first we're going to focus on how to conjugate the verb. So for AR verbs, you are going to drop the AR and add ado or ADO. For example, escuchar will go to escuchado, llevar will go to llevado, and jugar will go to jugado. For ER and IR verbs, you are going to drop the ER or IR, and you will add ido or IDO. So some examples of this would be comer will go to comido, tener goes to tenido, and perder will go to perdido. So now after we finished that and learned how to conjugate the verb, we're going to focus on the conjugation of haber that we're adding in front. So in this tense, the conjugated version of haber that is added in front of the verb is the only part that is going to change depending on the pronoun or person you are talking about. So the ado and ido on the end of the verb is going to stay the same whether you're talking about yo, tú, él, nosotros, or ellos. So for the conjugation of haber, if you're talking in the yo or I form, you're going to add e or he in front of the verb. So I dance would turn into he bailado. I eat would turn into he comido. Next, we have the tú form. Now, for the tú form, you're going to add as or has in front of the verb. So you dance would turn into has bailado, and you eat would turn into has comido. For él, ella, usted, you add a in front of the verb, or ha. So you get ha bailado or ha comido. They ate, For the nosotros or nosotras form, you're going to add hemos. So hemos. So, we dance will turn into hemos bailado. We eat turns into hemos comido. Finally, you have the ellos, ellas form of the verb. And for that, we're going to add in han in front. Han. So, han bailado or han comido. So, to go over that again, the conjugations of haber that you add in front of the verb for all of the different pronouns are going to be e for yo, as for tú, a for él, ella, usted, hemos for nosotros o nosotras, and han for ellos and ellas. And then for the verb conjugation, AR, you drop it and add ADO, and ER and IR verbs, you drop the ER and IR and add IDO. Next, if we're going to talk about reflexive verbs, those are the ones where an action is being done by someone to somebody else, or you're doing something to yourself. So one example of a verb like that is despertarse. The se, or any other pronoun that you're going to be talking about, will get put in front of the conjugated version of haber. So I have woken myself up will turn into me he despertado, and you have woken me up would turn into me has despertado. Okay, so finally we're going to discuss the irregular verbs in this tense. So first we're going to talk about some of the more common ones that you're going to use, and then near the end I'll add in a couple of fun ones. So first we have decir, or to say. So that goes to dicho, or dicho. So he dicho, I have said. Next we have to see, or ver. Now this one is going to go to visto, or visto. So, has visto eso? Have you seen that? Next we have the verb for to set, or poner. Now this one's going to go to puesto, puesto. So, he puesto la mesa. I've already set the table. The next verb is going to be hacer, or to do, and that one goes to hecho. One way you could use this would be ha hecho la tarea. They have already done the homework. Next, we have the verb for to write, or escribir, and that goes to escrito. An example of this one could be hemos escrito el ensayo. So we have written the essay. The next word that we have is ir, or to go, and that one is going to turn into ido. An example of this one would be he ido a la escuela, or I have gone to school. Another word that is irregular is going to be leer, or to read, and this one is going to turn into leído. So he leído este libro. I have read this book. We also have the verb resolver, and this one's going to turn into resuelto, resuelto. This one means to solve. Now we're going to talk about the 6 irregular verbs that you might not use as much, especially in your Spanish class. So the first one is going to be volver, which means to return. This one is going to turn into vuelto, or vuelto. He vuelto a mi casa. I have returned to my house. The next one is going to be romper, and that is going to turn to roto, or roto, and that means to break. The next one is going to be to give back, or devolver, and that's going to turn into devuelto. And so an example of this one could be ha devuelto a la comunidad. He has given back to the community, or she has given back to the community. So we have 2 more now. Okay, so the next one is going to be the verb for to cover, or cubrir. This one's turned into cubierto, or cubierto. An example of this one could be has cubierto tu boca, or you have covered your mouth. Finally, this one is if you have like a YouTube channel or something. It also is what you should do to the LearnCast podcasts. It is the verb for to subscribe, and it is suscribir, and it is going to turn into suscrito, suscrito. An example of this is going to be he suscrito a LearnCast, or I have subscribed to LearnCast. So to summarize this podcast and lesson on the present perfect tense, it is going to be used like it would be used in English, to say something that has been done. And remember that the conjugated verb haber is the only part that changes from pronoun to pronoun, as the main verb has the ado or ido ending for all pronouns. Thank you for joining me for our review of the Spanish present perfect tense. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website to stay up to date with the latest releases. Until next time, listen, learn, repeat.